Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. We're your guides, ready to unpack the fascinating stories that shape our world. And today, we're taking a deep dive into something really remarkable. It's the unexpected, almost kind of paradoxical success story of Five Guys Burgers. Now, this isn't just about, delicious burgers and fries, though, believe me, we'll get to those. This is about a business model that, well, frankly, it defied pretty much every traditional rule in the book. Imagine building a global empire worth billions now, nearly 1,900 locations all over the world, making hundreds of millions in revenue, and doing it all without spending a single penny on traditional ads. Not one TV spot, not one radio jingle. Just think about that for a second. So our core question today, it's simple, but it's pretty profound. How did a family's initial $70,000 gamble, how did that small, unassuming burger joint just explode into this global phenomenon? All by focusing almost entirely on the product itself as their ultimate promotion.
It really challenges how we think about business, doesn't it? Our mission today really is to cut through the noise and show you how Five Guys didn't just enter the fast casual market. They fundamentally rewrote the rules. We want to give you a shortcut to understanding their unique, often kind of counterintuitive approach. What truly makes them this fresh ingredients restaurant that captured hearts from, well, Arlington, Virginia, all the way to Zurich. It's not just about what they did, but really why it matters so much, especially today.
Okay, let's unpack this right from the start, the very beginning. It's what Jerry Murrell, the patriarch, he famously called it desperation disguised as wisdom.
Mm.
This all kicked off back in 1986. Jerry was facing, well, a classic parent dilemma, right? His two oldest sons, Jim and Matt, they weren't exactly thrilled about college, so he gave them a pretty stark choice, basically. Start a business or go to college. And, well, the business route won pretty decisively. Jerry and his wife, Janie, they took the son's college fund, $70,000, which was a lot back then, and poured it into a small burger joint, the first spot, Arlington, Virginia. And by Jerry's own account, it was an unremarkable corner of a rundown shopping center.
Right, but that wasn't just bad luck or settling. It was actually strategic for Jerry. He figured if we could survive and grow there, then we might really have something. It was a real trial by fire, you could say.
Totally. And the name, Five Guys. No fancy branding exercise there. Nope. It was just Jerry and his four sons at the time. Jim, Matt, Chad, and Ben. That's five. Then Tyler, the fifth son, he arrived 2 years later. So Jerry jokingly redefined the brand, said it represented just his sons, sort of wrote himself out of the name, but definitely not the business.
And what's really insightful about those early days isn't just, that they face challenges. Every new business does. It's how those specific struggles kind of forge their foundation. It's fascinating to think about it. Employees stealing from the till, the brothers constantly bickering about, well, everything, even a famously terrible first attempt at serving coffee. Jerry himself said it was absolutely terrible.
Right. Coffee wasn't their thing, clearly.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
But these weren't just setbacks, you see. They forced the family to tackle issues head on. They had to figure out who was good at what, find their niches, and really solidify what not to do. It was brutal, sure, but it was essential. It built the grit, the resilience behind their later success.
Speaking of proving grounds, this brings us to something I find just, well, astounding about their approach. Their patience. Just extraordinary patience. Most restaurants, right? They hit on something good, they race to franchise, expand, expand, expand. Not Five Guys. From 1986 all the way to 2003, they operated a grand total of just 5 locations.
5 stores in 17 years.
Exactly. All clustered around Washington, D.C. And this wasn't because they couldn't grow. It was deliberate. It was this obsessive strategy to perfect every single detail of their operation before even thinking about scaling up. And when I say obsessed, I really mean it. During those 15, almost 17 years, they tested 16 different kinds of mayonnaise. 16 before settling on the one.
Wow, 16 mayos.
They set up deals with specific potato growers north of the 42nd parallel. Why?
So potatoes grow slower there.
Right. Correct.
More solid, makes better fries.
Exactly. They perfected how they hand-formed the burgers, the specific peanut oil frying process. It was all about creating what Jerry called their infallible business model, getting it absolutely right.
And this approach, this methodical, almost glacial pace, it flew right in the face of the typical American business expansion model. Most concepts, if they work, they franchise within, a few years.
Right.
Five Guys took nearly 2 decades. The deep insight here, I think, is that their patience wasn't a delay. It was an investment. By sorting out every single operational kink, every supply chain detail, every customer touch point before they scaled, they essentially de-risked their future growth. They built a machine so robust, so proven, that when they did decide to expand, it was almost guaranteed to work. That's the power of playing the long game.
And the payoff for all that painstaking, patient work. When they finally decided to franchise in 2003, the floodgates opened. They sold the rights for over 300 locations in just 18 months.
Incredible. Just shows the demand they'd built, even quietly.
It wasn't luck, right? It was the explosive result of 15 years spent perfecting every single detail. They'd built a machine ready to go.
Okay, now let's pivot to their radical premise, because it really was like an anti-fast food revolution. Five Guys basically rejected everything traditional fast food stood for.
Yep.
You had giants like McDonald's, Burger King. They built empires on speed, convenience, super low prices. Five Guys went the complete opposite way. Quality, transparency, what they call fast casual dining.
Yeah, and one of the most striking things is that no freezers, no compromises philosophy. Every single Five Guys operates with coolers only. Coolers.
No freezers at all.
None. That means the beef, the potatoes for the fries, everything. It's fresh, never frozen. And that's not just some marketing slogan. It's an operational philosophy. It dictates everything. It creates what they call the Five Guys difference.
And that commitment, it extends to how they make the food too, right? The made-to-order excellence.
Yeah.
They completely rejected drive-thrus. Completely. Every burger is cooked after you order it, customized exactly how you want it. And speed definitely takes a backseat to quality. They're upfront about it. They even have those famous signs. You've probably seen them. If you're in a hurry, there are a lot of really good hamburger places within a short distance from here.
Huh. Yeah, basically saying, go somewhere else if you want fast.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating is how this seemingly customer-unfriendly approach, it became a huge competitive advantage. In a world obsessed with speed, they offered something different. Patience for quality. And people responded to that. It resonates.
And they also pioneered that open kitchen transparency, letting customers actually watch their food being made.
Sure.
That does a few things strategically, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It builds massive trust. You literally see the fresh ingredients. Plus, it shows off the process. And honestly, it gives you something to watch while you wait. A bit of kitchen theater.
Right. It passes the time.
And that transparency, if you really think about it, it goes beyond just the kitchen space. It extends to where they source ingredients, providing detailed nutritional info. This kind of radical transparency, it builds authenticity. It builds deep trust, which is, frankly, refreshing compared to a lot of marketing gimmicks out there.
They're basically saying, look, we've got nothing to hide because we're doing it the right way.
Precisely.
Okay, now for what might be the most revolutionary part of their whole story. The marketing. Or rather, the lack of marketing. This is genuinely astonishing. In an industry that throws billions, literally billions, at advertising, Five Guys built this global billion-dollar brand without a single TV commercial, radio spot, or digital ad campaign. Zero.
It's hard to even wrap your head around, isn't it?
It really is. Their CEO, John Eckbert, he's not kidding when he says we don't do any marketing. He explains that by taking all those dials off the table, it just forces them to focus relentlessly on the core things, which are making great burgers and fries, hiring people who are passionate about it.
And this isn't just about saving money, though I'm sure that helps. It's strategic branding. By refusing to advertise, Five Guys sends a clear signal to customers. Your money goes into the food, not into promotions.
Right. As Jerry Murrell himself put it, we put all our money into the food. He even said, that's why the decor is so simple, red and white tiles. We don't spend our money on decor or on guys in chicken suits, but we'll go overboard on food.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting from a strategy perspective. They essentially turned word of mouth into their main marketing engine. Their whole philosophy became, treat that person right, he'll walk out the door and sell for you.
So the customers become the advertisers.
Exactly. And it worked because it generated what marketers call earned trust. Think about it, a recommendation from your friend, your colleague, your family. It carries so much more weight than any paid ad ever could. Their growth exploded precisely because happy customers became these voluntary brand ambassadors. And then, of course, social media just poured fuel on that fire, amplifying all that user-generated content. You can't buy that kind of authentic buzz.
Okay, and we have to talk about the peanuts, the famous peanut strategy.
Oh, yes, the peanuts. They're legendary.
Yeah.
Most people just see them as, a quirky freebie. Snacks while you wait.
Right. Free food is always good.
Always good. But it's actually a really clever bit of, let's call it distraction marketing. Okay, first, they cook in peanut oil. So putting peanuts out front is a clear allergy warning. That's crucial.
Yeah, safety first.
But the real genius, according to a former employee, it's so you don't just stand there stare at us while your made-to-order burger takes, well, a bit longer than typical fast food.
Ha! So it keeps you busy shelling peanuts instead of tapping your foot.
Precisely. It's brilliant. A memorable, seemingly generous gesture that solves a core operational challenge, the wait time, at a pretty minimal cost.
Okay, so when Five Guys finally did start franchising in 2003, after all those years getting things just right, the expansion was, well, explosive, phenomenal. They went from being this sort of regional DC thing to a national and then a global force almost overnight, it felt like.
It really did accelerate quickly once they opened the taps.
By 2011, they were officially named the fastest growing restaurant chain in the U.S. Sales jumped nearly 33% that year alone. Think about the numbers. Started franchising in 2003 with maybe 30 locations. By 2004, over 300 locations sold, hit their 1,000th store in 2012. And now, in 2024, they're closing in on almost 1,900 locations worldwide. It's just an incredible growth curve.
And international expansion is particularly interesting, I think. It started in 2013, first UK spot in London's Covent Garden. And the demand was just overwhelming from day one.
People queued up, right?
Huge queues. Now they have over 170 locations just in the UK. And get this. They reported $680 million in revenue just from Europe in 2023. $680 million. What's really fascinating, too, is that their average sales per restaurant, their unit volumes, in international markets often run 5 to 7 times higher than in the U.S.
Wow. 5 to 7 times. Why do you think that is?
Well, it suggests their premium positioning resonates even more strongly overseas. American casual dining can command a higher price point, maybe there's more novelty value, but whatever it is, it's working incredibly well abroad.
So let's put Five Guys in context. Compare them to the giants like McDonald's. McDonald's obviously has massive revenue, like $43 billion. Five Guys is around $2 billion. Seems smaller, but their strategy is totally different, isn't it? They're not playing the volume game.
Not at all. It's all about premium positioning and cultivating what we call price insensitivity. McDonald's competes on value menus, speed. Five Guys. Their burgers are, what, $10, $12?
Yeah, definitely more expensive.
But the customers choosing Five Guys aren't usually making the decision based purely on cost. They're paying for the fresh ingredients, the customization, that consistent premium experience. It's often seen as a treat, maybe something you have twice a year, versus McDonald's, which might be twice a week for some.
So it raises a question. In a super crowded market, is focusing on that perceived value, that niche, actually more sustainable than just chasing sheer volume?
Five Guys' success strongly suggests it is.
Yeah.
Their market share, maybe 12% of the fast casual burger segment, isn't the biggest. But their focus is on sustainable growth, higher profits per restaurant, and building fierce brand loyalty, not just maximizing market share numbers.
Okay, so let's try and pull back the curtain a bit more. What are the secret ingredients, the things that really make Five Guys different operationally? One huge factor seems to be customization. Using it as a competitive moat, almost.
Absolutely. They offer over 250,000 possible topping combinations, with 15 toppings being completely free.
250,000, that's a lot of burger options.
It's astronomical. And it's not just about giving you choice. Strategically, it creates what's called a switching cost. Once you find your perfect customized Five Guys burger combination, it's genuinely harder to switch to a competitor who can't offer that same level of personalization, at least not easily or cheaply.
Ah, interesting. You get locked in by your own perfect burger.
In a way, yeah. And then there's their supply chain. That's another strategic advantage, and it's kind of unconventional. They maintain really tight control, even internationally. They ship things like napkins, cups, packaging, all the way from the U.S.
Wait, they ship napkins from the U.S. to Europe? Doesn't that cost a fortune?
You'd think so. But here's the astonishing part.
Yeah.
Because their buying power is so immense, I mean, they spend $7.5 million a year just on napkins in the U.S.
$7.5 million on napkins.
Right. It actually becomes cheaper for them to buy centrally in massive bulk and ship everything out in full containers than it would be to source all those specific items locally in every single country. They turn what looks like a logistical nightmare into an economic win. It's really counterintuitive, but brilliant.
And finally, there's the fact it's still a family business, right? That has to be an advantage.
A huge advantage. Unlike publicly traded companies constantly chasing quarterly results for shareholders, Five Guys remains entirely family-owned. All 5 of the Murrell sons are still deeply involved.
Each has their role.
Yep. Matt oversees operations, Jim handles the franchisees, Chad manages training programs, Ben runs the IT side, and Tyler operates their own bakery network that supplies the buns. This allows for really long-term strategic thinking. They're not diluted by corporate bureaucracy or short-term shareholder pressure, and you get incredible institutional knowledge retention. That unique Five Guys DNA is preserved because the family is still running the show day to day.
Okay, so if we boil it all down, looking back at the whole Five Guys phenomenon, what are the key lessons, the big takeaways? First, for me, it's the patience principle, that 15-year refinement period. It seems crazy by today's standards, but it built an incredibly solid foundation. It made their explosive growth sustainable, not self-destructive.
Absolutely, patience paid off massively.
Second, their product-first philosophy. In an age obsessed with marketing hacks and going viral, Five Guys proved that just having a genuinely superior product can drive organic growth that actually outperforms massive ad spends. Their zero advertising success is proof that word of mouth, based on real quality, still rules.
It really does. Authenticity wins.
And third, the power of premium positioning. They showed that being the pricier option in fast casual isn't just possible, it can be more profitable. By targeting customers willing to pay a bit more for quality and customization, they built a business with healthier margins and arguably more sustainable long-term growth.
Definitely. And looking ahead, the challenges and opportunities are still significant. International expansion is huge. They're talking about entering 6 to 8 new countries every single year because the demand is just there.
Wow, that's ambitious.
It is. Then there's the balancing act with digital innovation integrating delivery apps like Uber Eats, Deliveroo, while somehow maintaining that premium feel and quality control. That's tricky. And finally, the competition is noticing. Even giants like McDonald's are explicitly updating their burgers to compete with higher-end chains like Five Guys.
So the big guys are trying to copy them now.
They're certainly trying to adapt, which raises the big question. How does Five Guys keep its unique edge as the rest of the market tries to catch up? It's actually a testament to how much they've shaken things up.
Yeah, absolutely. The Five Guys story, it really is more than just another restaurant chain growing big. It's a masterclass, isn't it? In building real, sustainable, competitive advantages through operational excellence, through transparency, and through strategic patience. They proved that customers will pay premium prices if you deliver a genuinely premium experience.
And their whole approach, ditching ads, opening the kitchen, focusing obsessively on the food, created a model that's just really hard for competitors to copy effectively. McDonald's can cut prices, sure, but they can't easily switch to hand-cut fries and made-to-order burgers across thousands of locations. It doesn't scale the same way. Burger King can run more ads, but they can't manufacture that authentic word-of-mouth buzz that Five Guys built organically.
It reminds me of that quote from Jerry Murrell's mother. She told him, if you can give a good haircut, or if you can serve a good drink at a bar, or if you can serve a good hamburger, you can always make money in America.
Great quote.
And Five Guys basically took that simple wisdom and proved it scales, not just in America, but globally.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Five Guys really demonstrated that sometimes the most revolutionary strategy is simply doing the absolute basics extraordinarily well, better than anyone else. So what basics in your own life or maybe in your work could you potentially invest, say, 15 years in perfecting? Knowing that kind of deep focus might just lead to your own version of exponential growth down the line, something to think about.
Great point. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the business of deliciousness and the surprising story of Five Guys. Stay tuned to the deep dive for more insightful analyses coming your way soon.